Hello, people. Thanks for coming. Yeah, we're going to start soon. Today we're recording Drastic Social Podcast. There are 3 speakers and 1 performance. First speaker we have is Erwin, and thank you for coming. Today we're going to talk about a topic called Transformative Justice in Community Building. This is something that sounds quite complicated, and I'm not sure if most people have heard of it or not. Has anyone heard of this term? Transformative justice? No? Wow, no hands. Cool. I should start by introducing why I want to talk about this topic, because one of the things that I started Drastic Social is because I like to have my community. I like to grab a lot of people together, no matter who they are. However, sometimes people are quite segregated in their own bubbles, and because they feel safer in that bubble, in a way. So if you are always with the same type of people, it's comfortable, but then you don't grow in a way. So if you clash the bubbles together, then you will grow faster, but maybe at the same time there will be a lot of conflicts happen. So that's why today I want to learn about this term, because it will be a good tool to use, right, in community building. And if there's something wrong, something happened, someone said something that really offended you and you don't know how to speak up, what can you do? So today we have Erwin here from Skeiv Verden. And can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, definitely. Good evening, people. My name is Erwin. I use he, him as my pronouns. I work as the manager of Skeiv Verden. So Skeiv Verden is an organization for queer people with minority backgrounds. So, when you asked me to guest on your podcast and talk about transformative justice, and the initial word that came into my mind was restorative justice, which is a lot of people, including me, we mix these terms, but in some cases they can overlap. But I can explain that later. Yeah. But I felt happy when you said the topic to me, because this topic is very close to my heart, and I've been working in this in transformative justice and restorative justice since I moved to Norway and studied in Tromsø, and then did voluntary work in Tromsø.
Your study subject is about conflict, right?
Yeah.
What is?
That's right. I took my master's in Tromsø, University of Tromsø, master's in peace and conflict studies, and there where I encountered both transformative justice and restorative justice. But in that sense, in the academia and in political science, it's more on the larger scale, because we talk about conflict in other countries, so they call it transitional justice. So, for example,
it's quite complicated, right?
Yeah, Rwanda or Colombia, these cases. But today or tonight, we will talk about on the individual level, which I think is most effective, especially in our communities.
Yeah. So, for example, in Norway, there are a lot of organizations we work with. There are queer organizations, there are refugees group, people who come from other places, immigrants. Everyone has their own cultural backgrounds and beliefs and religions, and sometimes people would say something. And so this is exactly where we're starting, right? Like, what is transformative justice? What is restorative justice?
Yes, exactly.
Can you explain what are they in like a simple explanation?
Sure. So before explaining what are these terms, I want to not to introduce, because most of the people here know about criminal justice or punitive justice. This is the justice system that we all know about. So
It's like going to jail.
going to jail, if I did something wrong, then I'll be punished. For example, if I stole something in the store, so I'll be punished, or I ran a person. I was driving and I ran a person, so I'll be punished. So that's the criminal justice system that we have.
Isn't that something very like common? And I guess everyone just know this one and don't know anything else, right?
Yes, because most countries, I mean all countries have punitive justice system. Some are more restrictive than the others. And criminal or punitive justice is very expensive. For example, in Norway, if one person is sitting in prison, that would cost around 2,700 kroners per day. So that's one person. And if you need a lawyer, so the lawyer fee would be around 1,500 to 2,000 kroners per hour.
This is why people say the jail in Norway is better than living somewhere else, like right? Like even in Hong Kong, there are people living in cage homes. They're like in a cage, sleep and eat there. And in Norway, it's like you have your own apartment almost.
Right.
And that's why it's like 2,000 per day. Then it's like for how much, like 60K a month or something. So that's not worth it, basically.
That's
right?
loads of money, and it's also not in Norwegian. It's not bærekraftig. What's bærekraftig in English? Sustainable, because it's too expensive, and it's also you're keeping vengeance and hurt and pain, which is not when it comes to restorative justice or transformative justice. So now we go further. So we have alternatives to punitive justice or criminal justice, which is first restorative justice. Restorative justice is basically, if I did something wrong, I was very racist. I was saying racist slurs online, specifically to one person, and then this person want to have a mediation. So we will have a mediation. Okay, that's optional. That's what restorative justice is.
So you need a mediator, and like I've done something like that in a queer organization when people, of course, like harm other person. But for me, I just try to help without a background knowledge on how to do it. What I did was just listening to somebody, like listen to both sides of the stories and then repeat it in like a more neutral way. That's just how I did. But I don't actually know how to do it. What is it about? It's like when you mediate for somebody.
Yeah. Okay. So we have here in Norway things like this. If there are conflicts happening, for example, discrimination, or when you get into conflicts with your neighbors or with your ex-girlfriend or ex-partner or whoever. So there is conflict rådet or conflict tribune in Norway. So this is a mechanism so that instead of going to the courts, instead of punishing, so there will be a tribune that will try to assess and try to mediate these two parties. So it could happen also in online. Let's say racial discrimination, sexism, gender or sexual discrimination online. Also in my organization where I work, we have discrimination and mediation help. So we have 2 people who are working in this project. So this project is run by 5 organizations. So one of the organizations who own this project is Skeiv Invest. So basically, we are helping people meeting the offenders. It might be very tough, if I experience being discriminated because I'm queer and because I'm brown in a public space, and then I ask this person, okay, I have the evidence, who's the person, who's this person, and I will call for help to this instance, to this mechanism, and then they will try to, get in contact with that other person, the offender, and try to mediate.
So how do they do it? Like, they call the person and say, hey, I'm told that you're being mean to this person. What do you say? Like this?
Yeah.
And what if they just say, no, I didn't do anything? Then what happen?
Yeah, that's the challenge, because the other part must acknowledge that he, she, they did something wrong.
But so it comes to the point of accountability.
Exactly.
Right. Accountability is something I really want to talk about and learn more about. Is that, like, I would say, like, it's like quite personal, this story. It's like, I would say, because I was told that I'm always wrong when I was younger, and I feel like because of that, I always just say, no, I didn't do anything wrong. So even if I have done something wrong, I will just say that to protect myself first, because I'm told wrong all the time. And then now I've grown up a little bit more, and at one point, like, I need to accept that I have done things wrong myself too. But that is like a very long journey,
right? It's a process. Basically.
So how do we teach people how to take up accountability?
Yes, and then we go to transformative justice.
Okay.
Because restorative justice, it stops when the two parties agree. Okay, sorry, I hurt you. Sorry, I said that. Can we be friends now? And then, I actually listened to one podcast, I think 2 weeks ago. There was one case here in Norway. So the owner of, two neighbors, they were fighting about one tree or one bush. And then that bush is very important to neighbor A because he planted that bush with his mother. But neighbor B didn't like it because it blocks the view. And then suddenly neighbor B cut down the bush without asking neighbor A. And then they had a fight. They didn't talk for years. And then they heard about this conflict tribune that the Norwegian government is offering, which is for free. And then they became friends after that.
So they do want to be friends, but they don't know how.
Yeah. They don't have the tools. Or there's no mediator. There's no... Yeah, it's also hard. For example, if I was offended, it's so hard to knock on my neighbor's door. Hi, can I ask for sorry? Right? It's so taxing, physically, emotionally. And if it's your neighbor, you see your neighbor almost every day.
Yeah.
So, but what differentiates transformative justice is that we look into a larger picture. So we zoom out. Let's say, why did this person become racist? Or why did this person become very sexist? Is it because of the society? Is it because of the systems in the society? So that's what differentiates transformative justice. It goes further. That's why also a lot of people mix restorative justice and transformative justice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So restorative justice is using mediator to try to get some argument solved, but actually they might not be solved. It's just that people say that they want something changed, and they just say yes or no to it. And like inherently, they never really learn about why they did something or the reason or whatever it is.
Yes, it could be. It could be.
So transformative justice is more like something you can do for the whole community, not just one person. Because once you learn about some skill set or some ways of seeing things, you can use it or spread that energy in your community.
So, so basically, transformative justice is that seeing what is the harm or what is the violence, why did it happen, and also how to break that violence, especially if it's generational or cycle of generational violence. For example, sexism and racial discrimination, or gender and sexual discrimination. That's been going on for generations and generations. Patriarchy. So that's the root cause, right?
Yeah.
Patriarchy. If we zoom out. So but we have to solve also. So now we come into accountability.
Okay. Yeah. I will have one question before we get into that. Is that I would say a lot of people maybe don't have the capacity, maybe don't get to see the layers in society because, a lot of people, they just find it hard to even make money for themselves, to pay rent or something.
Yeah.
How do they even have the capacity to understand the hierarchy of this in order to become a better person? Like that has something to do with accountability as well, right? Because if you're always hurt, you don't even have space to heal, then how do you take up your responsibility as a person to say, I have done something wrong myself?
Yeah.
So what do you think? Like, if it's, I would say maybe in some communities, if they say have poverty or something, they're just so focused on just that basic needs, and so they can't even have the capacity for this.
No.
Right.
No. So lack of tools, for example. A lot of people don't have communication skills in addressing conflicts. So when I was doing voluntary work in Red Cross before, I was in Norwegian, they call it gatemegling, like a street mediator. So we've been taught how to be equipped with techniques or tools, how to address conflicts in a low-key level. So before escalating conflicts, you have to acknowledge your feelings first. Why did I feel this? Why did I get hurt? Instead, you have to look first on yourself before outwards. It's not like it's your fault. It's you all the time.
Yeah.
So we have to always to look inwards. So I think it might be difficult for some people, especially if they suddenly experience discrimination out in the street and then they feel helpless. They don't know what to do. So human instinct is that you would blame the other person. Yeah. Yeah.
I understand what you mean, because like I have been sexually harassed many times in the street, like a lot in Hong Kong. And I remember one time somebody, I think that he didn't mean to touch me, but I immediately think that he did it.
Yeah.
And I was just like shouting at him, and I wanted to hit him because of that, because of my own, and I actually feel bad afterwards because I wasn't actually sure if he did on purpose. But yeah, like if you are a victim all the time, then it's hard for you to see it.
True.
But so all these comes to a point of not just accountability, but also self-love, right? Like self-love is something I talk about all the time, but how do you love yourself? This is a part of it, like accountability. So what kind of tools can you teach us to like look into that?
Yeah, accountability is a very wonderful term. It's also very difficult because it is a process. For me, accountability, I'm gonna look into my notes. Accountability is acknowledging that you did something, or also something happened to you, and then you have to make amends. It's either you have to make amends to yourself or to others. And then accountability is also making sure that, or figuring it out, the actions that will not, that this, how do you call it, wrong thing that you did or the wrong thing that was done to you will happen again. Okay, so it's both inwards and outwards.
So can we make an example?
Okay.
Say if I use the wrong pronoun on somebody, I assume that the person is a she, her.
Yeah.
And they tell me that they're they, them. And I did that without asking first. I've done that quite a few times, so I have to apologize for that. That's me taking up accountability. So the person get hurt, but how do they, they will feel, I know that a lot of non-binary people will feel like I'm used to it because it happens so many times.
Yeah.
Then how does this work for them?
Then, okay, in this example that you said, you misgendered one person, you said sorry, and then now you go to the third step. How can I help as a community not to repeat this mistake again? Not only me, but the whole community. So that's also giving information, okay? Spreading information or spreading awareness. That's basically being accountable for what you did.
And what about the other person that are being harmed?
Yeah.
When you were just saying, even if the person is the one who are being harmed, they also have to acknowledge that they were harmed.
Yeah.
And so how do, say, this is also like a reverse example. If a person is being harmed, how do they get help? Or how do they speak up?
Yeah. Speaking up is very important. If a person gets discriminated or misgendered, it's very important to speak up, not just because of they want to have justice, but also they want that there will be learning, not only for oneself, but also to the other party, but also to the whole community. So, for example, something happened to me, to one person, let's say, who got discriminated in a bar here in Bergen. And then because this person is trans, let's say, a trans woman, and the person would want to speak up and report it to, for example, in our project in Verden, Dime, Discriminering sa Magling si Banken. And the reason of speaking up is not because you want that person to suffer. You should have a reason that, okay, I want to speak up so that this will not happen to others.
I understand this is something, if a person has already the capacity to speak up, then they can do it. But sometimes when a person is being harmed and then they even for me, I would think, I'm already being harmed. Why do I need to do more work? Yeah. So that's so hard, right?
Exactly.
Like, why is always a victim or the person who's being hurt have to do some more to help?
Exactly.
Like, how does...
Yeah, I totally understand, because being hurt or being offended is already traumatizing.
Yeah.
And then going there, asking help for another person, and then saying or telling more things about yourself or your experience is very hurtful also. So it's a excruciating experience. But without this, then you can never have justice. You know, it's part, unfortunately, we have to go through it. But we have to have also mechanisms who can we trust to. For example, organizations who you can run to. It could be a queer organization or a cultural organization or whatever. So this is very important. which goes now in community building.
Sorry, I have
Yeah.
one last question
Sure.
before you go.
Yeah.
So this happened a while back, not long ago. Someone I worked with, they were telling me, this is Norway. So it's just like one line. You need to listen to me because this is Norway. So I think a lot of people wouldn't understand what it means if they are from here. But I'm not from here, so I would feel like, oh, you just discriminated me because you think I don't know what you need me to do because I'm not from here.
Yeah.
So that one line says, this is Norway. It doesn't sound like anything, like a slur at all, but in my mind, I know what it means. So what can I do about this situation?
Try to ask that person, what do you mean if this is Norway? You know, because that's true. For us who are minorities in this country, and if we hear this words or sentence, then it could be, okay, what are you trying to say? So we have to speak up and try to speak up in a non-violent way.
Am I speaking up right now?
I don't know.
Does this count?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's true. Because this happened to me also. It happened to me, and I never processed it actually. And this happened to me, something similar. It was actually my, or the mother of my ex-boyfriend. So when we were in their cabin, and then I put the box of wine on top of the table, and then she said, don't put the box of wine on top of the table. We don't do that here in Norway.
Oh my God. So where did you put it on the floor?
Or I don't know, on the kitchen, but you know.
Wow.
And so that sentence entails a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
So what can I say? I just say, oh, but what do you mean? They don't even know what they mean.
Yeah.
Or maybe they do, but of course they can't say it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that would help that person to know that they shouldn't say that to me. So what can I do?
I think we have the responsibility also as being if we have the offended part, to let them know, to let them acknowledge. I tell them, I think I didn't like that sentence. I think I didn't like the way you talked to me. That's our responsibility also, because if we just keep these in our hearts, so
that has something to do with the boundaries you can set as a person. And I know boundaries is something so many people don't understand. I only learned that not long ago about boundaries myself. Like, how do you set boundaries? How do you say no? Because sometimes we just want to be liked, or we don't want to make people feel sad, then we just say yes to something, right? And we just don't know how to, when people cross our boundaries, we just don't know what to do, right? So this has something to do with that as well.
Yeah, that's...
Right? If I feel like I don't want to offend somebody, I would never be able to say, I don't like what you said to me just now, because then it will create more conflicts in a way. Yeah. So many things to learn. Yeah,
absolutely. It is very, how do you call it? It's so uncomfortable to talk about these emotions directly, especially from my culture. We don't talk directly about our emotions. About feelings, like saying that I didn't like what you said. That's a very big thing to do in my culture. Wow. But we have to learn how to do it.
So when the person heard this and they're like, oh, I can't believe you just said that, then what do you do?
Okay.
It's so hard to.
Okay, right? If I did something and that person reacted like that.
Say if somebody said something bad to you and you said, I don't like what you said to me, and then they get offended by when you say, you know.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, like, I can't
also
believe
probably
you just said that.
The way you communicated it, I didn't like what you said to me. Could be very aggressive.
Yeah. So
probably you could rephrase it like, I I experience it very hurtful.
So you have to communicate in a kind way.
Yeah. So transformative justice also is addressing the conflict without getting more conflict.
So you have to learn to be kind to other people.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I'm gonna go into a rabbit hole. So let's not. Let's talk about community building now.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about how we can use these things in a community setting?
Yeah. Okay. It could be very. It could be very hard. I don't know to imagine, considering that we have mentioned several terms here. So I'd like to make it more concrete. I would use the organization where I work now, Skeiv Invest. So what we do is we are addressing the conflicts in several aspects. So transformative justice in several aspects. So we address mental health issues. So in transformative justice, you heal inwards and outwards. So it's very important to address this. So in the organization, we have free psychotherapy sessions with our 4 psychotherapists who are also queer and part of the minority communities here in Norway. We have counseling sessions. We have also building the community through the community. So the volunteers who are making the workshops or their ideas about the workshops, it's like also empowering them. Like the last week we had, or last month we had a workshop about depression, and then after that we had a workshop about boundaries and relationships and sex, because these are the things that in the community that we lack. For example, boundaries. So empowering the community is another thing. And another thing that we work is, of course, political work, which is very important, that we held the authorities accountable for the things that why we suffer discrimination now is because of the system, basically. So we held them accountable for what they have did for thousands of years or hundreds of years.
What do you call it? Imperialism? Is that one aspect of it?
It could be, yes. Yeah.
And then
it could be imperialism. It could be also the judicial system. This year we commemorate the 50 years of decriminalization of sex between men. And that's part of the transformative justice. Like, we acknowledge that there was atrocities that has been done towards the queer communities in Norway, and the government is holding accountable for that. They said sorry for what they did. They're putting money in LGBTQ organizations.
They should say more sorry. Then they can put more money in the community.
Yeah. And it's a process, you know. Saying sorry is one thing, but doing something after that is also a different thing. I think that's the hardest part, actually.
Is there a structure of how many things the government are held accountable because of, thousands of years of history in, I don't know, in Scandinavia, or, Norway? How many years has Norway been a country? Can they trace it back to, you started this 500 years ago. Now we're gonna make sure that you're gonna change it. I don't care who did this. It was your ancestor who did it. So, do you use lawyer to make them change things, or?
No, we use the activism within the organization.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't understand how actually activism is very important.
It is
But
very
it
important.
is. So
Yeah.
it will change legalization and
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much today for all
Thank
the
you.
explanation. Is there anyone who wants to learn something, a term you don't understand, or like let us know afterwards? Yeah. Thank you for
Thank you.
today. We'll be back in 1 minute. The top.
It doesn't have much content in it, but it holds everything as well.
Cool. Yeah, it says a lot of animals and trees and sky and yeah, cool. Hi everybody, we're back for the second part of Drastic Social podcast series. Today we have Yimin from Feminist Storytelling. Shall we give an applause?
Hello.
So thanks for coming, Yimin.
Thank you for inviting, Bertha.
Yeah. I'm so excited because I usually have very few Chinese friends in Norway, but I think this event is like pulling some of them together. So it's a good chance to maybe meet some of the people and speak some Chinese maybe at one point, even though my Mandarin is not very good. Yeah.
I'm almost surprised by you saying it because you never talk Mandarin with me.
Oh, Mandarin? Yeah.
Yeah.
你们好，我是 Bertha Chan. That's hi, I'm Bertha Chan. Yeah, I also can say that in Norsk, but lit Norsk only. So today we're going to be conversing in English. Yeah. So could you tell our audience about feminist storytelling?
Wow. This is really hitting home. Feminist storytelling, we are a club, we're a family, a community that brings people together to be storytellers and to tell the story and explore what does inclusive or intersectional feminism means for them. And we're open space to aim to enable everybody to find their own ways of telling stories, of expressions.
I know, like, I have been to a few of your gatherings, and it's every time it's kind of cathartic. Yeah, like I would just share my story because of the setting of your event. It's like very intimate, and people are so open about their stories. So you just want to share because of that energy, and you usually hold it at Litteraturhuset, right?
Yes, so Litteraturhuset have very generously offered us to use their space to host events and workshops that are open for everybody in Bergen. And also we have the aim to begin with that you could use different languages, but it has been over the time changed to a basically English event.
Oh, okay. So you have different events for different languages, or maybe some session that is for specific language?
Right now it's in English, but I have, for example, Chinese guests, even who need sometimes help translating, and then I'll help to translate. And I just hope that language wouldn't be a barrier. We also had elderlies from Norway that didn't speak necessarily English, and I also helped them to try to understand each other a little bit.
Wow, very, it's like your community is really wide range. It's not just one type of people in a way, right?
Yeah, we want to be very inclusive, and we also want to just encourage everyone to be able to feel like this is a safe space for all of you. Doesn't matter if you're belonging to a certain group or not.
So how does it work with shall we tell people about how your events work in a way? Like, how does feminist storytelling event start?
Sorry, you want to know the start or how it's
like
working now?
How does it work when I go to an event, and then we just start talking, or how does it work?
So this has been actually a very fun exploration process, because when I first started the project, I had a concept of getting to know each other without knowing each other necessarily. Because when you first meet someone, I would say that, hi, I'm Yimin, or I'm doing something, or I'm from somewhere. But when we first started the event, it was a space that you first interact and do things together. And at the end, I often ask them 3 questions. First question is, who are you? That's the most common one that you got asked when you have to introduce yourself. And the second one is, who are you pretending to be? This one asks people to write down, and if you feel comfortable, then you could share. But if you don't feel comfortable, you don't need to share. And the third one is, who do you want to be in the community, in our community? So in this way, I think it would be a very comfortable space for everybody to be able to step into a community. This later on changed a little bit. So right now, I recognize that there are a lot of people. I have a very solid group of people who are supporting the projects. So now we're transitioning a little bit more. And there are generally 2 parts of our projects now. The one part is focusing on doing workshops, still open up for everybody to join us. And we're really trying to use our community assets to see what we can facilitate as a community to the general audience. And then the second part is more that we're focusing on one production right now for next spring to be in the theater in the Literaturhuset.
What is this project?
It's called The Vagina Monologues. I'm sure that there will be some of you that have heard about the play, the political play written by Eve, and she was just did this amazing project of interviewing 200 women about their relationship with their vaginas. And we took that as our starting point or inspiration, and started a citizen theater project of telling our community members' story by themselves. But of course, we have a team that is working on the direction and on the dramaturg for the production.
So can you maybe, I don't know, role play a little bit with me on how to join your workshop?
I actually invited 2 of my storytellers today to, I would like you to join Bertha as well, and I would like to invite some audience as well to join our storytellers, and we can show with them how we're telling the stories. I think it would be more interactive, and then you could also be a part of our community in that way.
So how shall we play?
Can I introduce our storytellers and welcome them to the stage first?
Yay!
Hello, I'm Sage. I'm a storyteller.
And I'm Camille, and I'm also a storyteller.
There's a mic.
So Sage is going to introduce us a very fun game that we often play in our workshops, especially recently. This is called word association, and it's very fast-paced.
All right, so the key to the game is that we're going to say the first word that comes into our mind when we hear a word that someone else says. And through that process, we're going to collect a series of somewhat random, but also somewhat connected words. And the plan is that Camille and I are going to use those words to write a story while you guys finish the interview. So, to give you an example, I'm going to choose a starting word and play the game for 2 seconds with Yimin. So, if I think of the word rice, what's the first word that comes to your mind when I say rice?
Frying.
All right, frying. Now what's the first word that comes to my mind when I hear frying? Chicken. All right. Then we've just collected 3 words. Great. So we want to invite the audience to participate in this game. So can we get some volunteers? Do you want to raise your hand if you want to try it out with us?
Yeah, can somebody help us here? How many do we need?
Yeah.
3 people?
Can we get like 4 or 5?
4 or 5?
Yeah.
How about
Yes, I'm seeing 2.
2 over there.
Yeah. Let's get
How
2
about,
more.
Isak.
All right. Yes. All right.
And
All right. Oh, I see another. Was that a hand from the guy? No.
Nathaniel?
Yeah. All right.
Come on, don't be shy. It's just a word, right?
Yeah.
We can just say a word.
All right. So put your hands way up high and proud if you want to participate.
Okay.
Yes. All right. I see 4 participants. So do you want to do a practice round or do you want to go ahead into our theme for today? All right. So I'm going to say the word comfort in the white sweater. What's comfort? Pillow. And I'm going to say sleep in this white jacket. What do you hear when you hear sleep? Dreaming. When I hear dreaming, I hear clock. Right, and the person with the white scarf. Oh, yeah. Yes, with the white scarf first.
Okay.
Time. And then I hear end. What about Isak? Infinite. Beautiful. Right. Camille, do you want to try a round as well?
Yeah. So
Do you have to write them down?
Yes. So one of our lovely members, Ami, if you want to raise your hand, is writing the words down as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use comfort again. So comfort. Sleep. Nightmare. False. Dare. Nice.
All right. So the interesting part of this game is that even though we started in the same place, we evolved into something different each time, right? So then we're going to take your inspiration, go write some stories, and see what evolves from there. Thank you. And it's back to Yimin.
Okay, so you will come back and tell us a story later, right? Yeah.
Yes, so in a few minutes, then we'll present what we
Okay.
wrote based on this.
Cool, thank you. And so now we can come back to you, Yimin. While they're writing the story. I didn't get to participate, by the way. So yeah, I was gonna hoping that I get to like.
So, Bertha, comfort, what do you think?
Oh my god. Soft.
Beer.
Beer, like drink.
Teddy bear.
A teddy bear. Fur. I have a teddy bear downstairs. I should bring Victor up here. Yeah. Yeah.
Victor.
Sorry, Richard.
Victor.
Victor. Victor is a dog.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think the fun thing about this game is that it bounces off. And first of the things is that a lot of people from our community is not that familiar necessarily with writing or with storytelling, or even some people are very, very great at storytelling or writing. There can be a difficulty to get into it. And with playing this, you just need to go very fast paced. So today we did it quite slowly, but often we do it very, very fast paced. So you don't necessarily have time to reflect on it. And you're kind of forced with a material that is partially new to you. And I think the most fun thing for us is how to bring those materials to life with our storytelling.
So it's like kind of like a group exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you
And
write like long story? How does it work? Like these stories are for. Is it like a workshop where you do a round of this and then you go back and write something on your own, and then you share your story with other people?
Yeah, it's this mechanism. And we have done quite a lot of different workshops because the aim of our community is to bring people to be able to do this first. and then we can start to have events like today that people are comfortable enough for sharing and are feeling that they belong to this community.
One time I came to your event, I'm not sure what we were talking about, and I just shared something and started crying. I'm not sure if you remember, but it was like, I'm so proud of myself for saying this, and then I felt like, yeah, it was just very soothing and healing in a way, and that's why I was kind of drawn to your community in that sense. You told me also one time, because it's called feminist storytelling, and then you saw a whole group of men.
Yeah.
Is it like one time how many people were there that night?
I think it was 12 people, 13 people, that around that size. We often have that size for some reason. It's just a magical number for our group. And I was almost, I was surprised when I first walked into the group, and I was having a headache because how am I going to work with them? And also everybody is new faces to the group.
So
And
what happened that night?
one observation I had is how long people are able to talk or want to talk. It's not, I don't want to generalize it, but from that night, it was people that night talked much longer than when we had groups of a mix or groups of more women.
Like a diverse group
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah, diverse group of people. And I think that was the part that makes me realize how different it is to work in that way. And another thing I found very interesting is a lot of people come, but they don't identify as feminists. And I was so proud that they came, because then that means that we have such a comfort level that you're able to explore a little bit about what can feminism mean for you, even if that is outside of your comfort zone.
So I'm not trying to pry about what they said, but like ultimately, what was the theme of the night, or like what kind of story were they talking about? What they telling that night?
I don't remember most of the things, but I remember doing the 2 exercise with them. One of the exercise is to just let them freely talk, but for a certain period of time, and realizing that, oh, you have been taking this time. And that's a very shocking thing for most of the people, because they don't realize that everybody is not talking equally.
Oh.
And that's a thing I think generally we're not conscious, especially for me. I'm a very talkative person. I can be very unconsciously taking other people's space. And that's one of the exercises that I think made people really reflect on what is my space and my freedom for talking, and what is the degree that it can go to interfere with other people's space.
Wow, like that is quite deep to think about, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you come up with your project in the first place?
Feminist storytelling.
Yeah.
I started doing this quite early when I was still in high school in this small village. Then we had a very, very tiny community. We did some poetry events, also organized called the Vagina Monologues, but at that time it was more focused on you write a poem or you read a poem that somebody write about. And that night was the single most shocking night in my life. Because when I was little, I experienced a lot of violence, sexual-based violence, and I never felt that there would be anybody in the world that will experience it. Or even even earlier on when my parents got divorced, because it's much more of a close community around me, I felt that you're not supposed to tell anyone that your parents got divorced. So the first time that I got angry at my best friend and left my best friend was because she told her parents that my parents got divorced. And when I come to organizing the Vagina's monologues, then that's the time I realized that there are a lot of things we never hear people around us talking about. And if we don't try to facilitate the space, then they're never going to exist. And that's also the night I hear people talking about violence, talking about joy, talking about their body, talking about their relationship, talking about so many things that I would never expect from them, from our everyday conversation. And that's the point that I realized I need to do something. And when I moved to Bergen this year, so I moved quite recently, when I moved to Bergen this year, I thought about bringing this community to Bergen as well, because I think we need it so much.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Norwegians talk about their feelings or their story. I mean, I've been here for 2 years, and I know you kind of have to know them for over 2 years to become like friends that are comfortable to share feelings with. So this is like a very different, maybe quite special space for people to just go there and talk without knowing the other people. Or maybe they I don't know, maybe you would just go and think, well, there are people I don't know, so I can share stories. Could that be the case?
I think it's, both of them exist, because I have had times that people come once or twice and then they disappear, kind of. And there are people that told me that they want to click. We're always on Facebook advertising. They said that they want to click the like, but they are so scared that they can be found out by the people around them. Especially
being a feminist, they're scared of.
Yes. I have some friends, especially from the community that are more conservative. There's one person specifically, she told me that I need to take the word vagina away from it, because otherwise it's very offensive for her community to know that she joined us. And I told her that, but we can't take it away because this is the space we want to be able to talk about it. So she left. And I think that was the part that can be a little bit hard, because you know that ultimately it can be a little bit too much, maybe for some people. But at the same time, I think there are a lot of people in the community that when they first come, they said that they were a little bit scared, especially hearing that, okay, you do theater. Okay, you're a feminist. I'm not familiar with theater, or I'm not familiar with feminism, but they still come and they realize that, okay, we're actually, every single of us, how grateful to have all of you. Every single person is trying to make this a safe space for all of the other people.
I do think that Norway needs this, but I've only been in Bergen, so I can't say for the whole Norway. But I'm sure there's something every person needs as a space to talk about things that they're usually shy to talk about, right? And so what is the next step for feminist storytelling? Are you expanding? Are you going to do more public events? How does it work?
So we just finished the board election and applied for organization number. Hopefully that will go smooth. So then, of course, a very realistic thing is to apply for funding. And that will enable us to do much more. Right now we're working on a production towards next April. It's also supported and sponsored by Litteraturhuset. And that's our main focus for next year. And at the same time, we expanded who are running the workshop. So the workshop team is much bigger, and we're trying to connect to many different artists or other different organizations. For example, Verden West would really love to do something with Verden West community. And I just think that generally there can be such a beautiful thing or such a beautiful connection to be made.
Well, collaboration is the best thing. This is what I want to do with Drastic Social as well. I just ask all my friends who has organization or their own project, come and show what you're doing, and then if you meet up with other organization, you collab and then make everything bigger and stronger in a way, right?
I'm so grateful that you're doing this, Bertha, because I think it facilitates such a good space for people to meet, and really it breaks the boundary and separation between these different communities.
Yeah, I don't believe in segregation, even though segregation is actually naturally will happen. As I said earlier when we started the conversation with Erwin, it's like people want to be in a safer space for their own community. If you don't feel safe, you can't go into kind of clash the two bubbles, because say it's very easy to say is that for example pronouns. If people don't understand and they don't ask, so they will stay away from the LGBT community. Or if they are all just straight people, cisgender people, then they also try to, maybe it feels safer for themselves as well to not say the wrong thing in a way. Then it's like the segregation will always just be there. And we need more places to just put people together without having labels. And that's hard because if you don't label something, for a lot of people, it's hard to understand what's happening or what's going on. And also it doesn't serve an educational purpose. So in the end of the day, you have to build a lot of workshops, for example, right? Like with boundaries, with self-love, with all kinds of things that we have to learn for ourselves and then learn for our community. And then we can put things together. Or we have a lot of facilitators, mediators to make sure things are going in like a right direction, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember one thing that you shared with me, Bertha shared with me, which is also can be an alternative way to know each other that breaks the boxes. And I think that inspires me a lot, which I would like to share with everyone. It's when you ask the other person, instead of asking, what do you do? Or what are you doing? Then instead asking, what do you play with? And I think that's generally a very good starting point to break off these boundaries and boxes.
Yeah, it's very important to not ask, what do you do for a living? I think a lot of people just ask, so what do you do? Like just to maybe find some more questions to ask, because it's easy to just ask, oh, what do you do for a living? And then you will know what to ask afterwards. But you can also ask things like, oh, what do you like to play? What do you resonate with? Or what kind of activities you want to do mostly? Like things like this. Instead of, or when you see somebody, which is, for example, not white, and then you will like ask, where are you from? Or, right? Like then you just making sure that they're not from there, or what, like there are a lot of things people try to label to find a place in the system in a way. And so for me, I think that's something we can try to practice, is that we ask different questions when we want to meet people. And you actually want to know who they are by doing that, right? I think when you say, who are you? It's also good. Like when you say, who are you? They will have to tell you what they want to tell you instead, right?
Yeah, so there is invitation feeling in it that I think you also need to make a safe and comfortable space for people to take a little bit of time to not be in the immediate state of I have this standard answer for the specific settings.
And also sometimes you just want to get away from the things you have been saying for 1,000 times. Then you can say something else instead of, oh, I'm from here, my name is this, I'm from here, and I do this for a living. It's like, I am so tired of saying that. How many times do we have to say that in our lives to like meet new friends? I don't know. So, how are our story coming along? I'm so curious about it. Have we finished, or do we need more time for it?
They're coming back. Wow. I think I want to share one last thing.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of gatekeeping in art. And this is a time that I think in our community we want to do is to look at approach to see what community assets that we can bring out for maximize, instead of seeing what title have you been having that can be utilized.
So when you say there's a lot of gatekeeping in art, are you talking about institution where they, if say they want to hire somebody, they want to make sure that the person has a background in art, or like, can you give us some example?
I think generally just even as people who practice art, at what point, because I was reflecting on at what point am I comfortable to presenting to the other people that I am an artist. When do I set that boundary for myself, or why am I gatekeeping it myself for so long time before I can feel comfortably tell that I'm an artist?
Yeah, true.
In that way, like what is this box? Who is setting that box?
Yeah, who can be an artist, who cannot?
Absolutely.
Just like when I first say, oh, does it mean institution asking if you have a background in art? I think that is like my own reflection that I need to take on, because I internalize that in order to be an artist, you need to have the art background, right? So I never say that I'm an artist. I dare not to say it as well because of this thing, you know. So, yeah, true.
Should we invite our storytellers now?
Yeah, sure, if they're ready. Do we have the story now? Yeah. Yeah, you want to read it from your phone?
Yeah.
Cool, that's better.
So I'm going to start. So with the word I had, which were comfort, sleep, nightmare, dream, false, true truth, and dare and nice, I wrote, my bed. My bed is my safe place. It brings me warmth and comfort, heals my boredom, and accepts my sleep schedule, however chaotic it is since the pandemic. It is the place where I am full of life and desire, and full of dreams. Nightmares are accepted, but better avoided. It is nice to have a place for yourself, a place to be true, and a place to dare. Dare to be lazy, dare to be happy. I must confess, during my sleepless night, I also dare to be false and accept this part of me, a part that changes and grows, but also moves and is acceptable. Alas, it is not an easy job, but a needed one in my quest for comfort.
Right, and the words I had were comfort, pillow, sleep, dreaming, clock, time, end, and infinite. Dedicated to Yimin. Fruit is my comfort, sweetness my dreams. When sleep doesn't come, I think of myself pillowed in apple and peach. In the core of an orange, I lose myself in the foam between waking and dreaming. In the morning, my alarm clock is made from the arms of the banana and the seeds of the kaki. Good thing the time of limes never makes a sound when it rings. At the end of a grape, my body screams for more, minute by minute, for a world with no hunger and life infinite.
Wow, so you two just wrote this in a short span of time with the words play.
Yes, so I had a blank like a Word document when I went down, and then I had that when I came back up. And I think same for Camille. Yeah.
Like, have you two been doing this for a while now? And are you like really familiar with this? That's why it's so quick. How does it work if someone who's new coming into this?
I think I've only done this exercise once before. Yeah.
You like
Yeah,
to
same.
write.
So, but in the space of feminist storytelling, because I mean, I'm not a professional artist. I have no affiliation with the arts community at all, besides this night. But being in a space where there isn't a lot of pressure to prove yourself, I think that really allows for more confidence in our creation.
Well, I need to give you applause for that because it is a lot of pressure when you're in front of a whole audience and you perform really well with this. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this reminds me of a project my friends are doing in Hong Kong. They're also doing storytellings. They call Spill Stories. It started with Instagram posts. So it was just small poems anonymously posted on Instagram, and then there are more and more people joining, just writing, and it blew up. And yeah, I like you to check it out after the show. And
beautiful.
Yeah, maybe we can do something together. Spill Stories is now operating in the U.S., but I always say that I want to bring them to Norway, and maybe that could be a collaboration in making in the future. Yeah. Thank you today for all three of you, and join this feminist storytelling. Join them on Facebook. Where can they find you?
Facebook. We're hoping to make a website towards next year, but Facebook for now is the best.
It's like a group or is a page?
We are a page right now, but we're also creating a group soon.
Yeah, I will help you make a website. So.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. So we are going to take a break and we'll come back with our third speaker, Juan.
just like we're we're in the cafe chatting.
Hello, welcome back to Drastic Social Podcast. This is our third guest before our music performance, and I'm very happy to introduce Juan. But before we start talking with Juan, I like to thank everyone who comes here tonight, and also Bergen for providing the platform for us. Thanks, Eva. I love you so much. No, and thank you, Fraser, for First Libra to be also a platform for us to stream today, providing the knowledge, the equipment, and everything that we have been doing streaming with, and also with Bergen. And all the people that I work with tonight, Benson, Laura's, Ingrid, Renata, Isia, Maria's, Lena. Yeah, if I forgot someone, it's because I'm nervous, but I think I'm okay. I don't know. And also Victor. Victor is here with me right now. This is Victor. He is a pension dog. He is a retired service dog. So, but yeah, so we're gonna come back to Juan. Juan, I know you're an artist, and it's very hard to explain what you do.
Yeah.
So today we have 3 guests coming, and yours will be a creator series podcast, because I do want to know more and learn more about what creators do instead of building community. Because, for example, with Yimin, they are building a community. And with Juan, you're more doing your own art and reflection and expression of yourself. And so that's something I also am very interested to know, because I have always wanted to become an artist. And here we are talking to an artist who is doing their thing. So please tell us.
Yeah. So first, thank you very much for inviting me here, and it's been a pleasure to be here, and for sure. And I feel like I have been on stage many, many times, but to be on a stage, sitting on a sofa and talking, chatting, that is abnormal or unique experience, I would say. Well, how should I start an introduction about myself? I was actually found it very fascinating and interesting during the second chat and talk. And I have been experiencing about asking me where I'm from many, many times. And in the beginning, I was actually frustrating about, okay, I'm actually been living in Norway for many years, but why you still keep asking me? And then I remember there was one time I went to Cafe Opera, and then there were a girl, was probably her like a second time been to Cafe Opera, asked me, "Oi, where are you from? Have you ever been here in Cafe Opera?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, I think so." But then instead of, before I often just think like, sometimes I get a little bit unpleasant feeling when people ask me where I'm from, but then from another hand, if I think, it is true that I look not like original Norwegian as like blonde hair, but it is true. I also accept the fact that I am Chinese, and I accept my own identity, and I accept the fact that I look different. So why shouldn't I accept the fact that when people ask me where I am from, and to the same way I could also ask back if I just see it as a question. And I actually tried it once, and when people ask me, "Where are you from?" and I said, "Yeah, I'm from China, actually." And then when I asked the question, answered back, and they asked the same question back, "Where are you from?" And they were like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Where are you from?" Like, "I'm from Bergen." I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm from Bergen, I'm from here." So it's like, sometimes I feel like it also depends on how you take this question as well. And also sometimes I just like to joke around and saying, "What do you mean? Like, are you asking me where am I from physically or where I'm from mentally, because basically I'm born in China, but I also lived in many other countries. I was living in Amsterdam and also in Helsinki, and now I'm in Norway. So it's sometimes a little bit hard because how I think, how I do things, and how I communicate, it's a little bit combined with Netherlands or how Dutch people think. Like, I'm very direct. I'm very Chinese, that I love to talk about my feelings. I'm very, very much I like to express myself. I like to give people compliment. When I see something that is nice, I have to speak it out loud.
So you're influenced by many different cultures from different countries. So it's hard to pinpoint where you're from in a way, because of course when you say I'm from China, they try to also link the things they know about China to you. Yeah. So they will say, oh, for example, when I say I'm from Hong Kong, they will also say ni hao, but that's not my language. I'll always say, that's not my language. And they're like, what do you mean? Don't you know Mandarin? And I'm like, I speak Mandarin, but that's not my language. Somebody actually get offended by me saying that. So it's a way for people to trying to put you in a place so that it's easier for them to understand you. So I guess that comes to the point of maybe just speaking, talking about things is not enough for you to express yourself, right? And therefore you're more of an artist. You need to use different medias to do things, to talk, right?
Absolutely. And in talking about storytelling, I would also consider myself as a storyteller as well. But I don't use words, but I use visuals. I use and in collaboration with sound artists or musician. And the reason I mentioned about where I'm from, was because what I do is actually somehow kind of affected by where I have been and where I have been studied. So I did my bachelor in China, also in Netherlands. And so when I was in China and Netherlands, my bachelor was mostly focused on I painted a few years, like color painting and oil painting for a few years. And after so a lot of analog stuff. And after that, I moved to Netherlands, and then I started to learn visual communication, or you also call it as graphic design. So I've been work as a designer for a few years, and but then I was working in China and as a designer, and I was like, okay, this is kind of not really something that I like to do, because as I mentioned earlier, that I like to express, I like to transfer my thoughts out into. Sometimes I think that your thoughts, your feeling is an invisible language or invisible elements, and I like to transform them to something that is visible. And the visible, that can be sound, visible can be things that you can see or you hear or you touch. So for me, I like to use something that you can see and collaborate with sound artists and transform them into something that you can hear. So after I been working a few years in China and Netherlands, I decided I want to push a little bit further on what I like to do, that I don't want myself to be limited by the form of the media. So I decided to go for like a master study, and then I got into the Bergen Art School, QMD. And then after doing my study period at QMD, I got actually into an exchange program to Aalto University, that is in Helsinki, in Finland, where I studied new media. So from there, I started to code. I started to do a lot of interactive art and interactive design, and work a lot with technology. and also like I has never gave up what I like to do is to generate visuals. But before I used brushes and pencils, but now I use computers and codes and different programs. That's a long story, but yeah.
I have a question because I always wanted to code or like I have to use some software now, Photoshop, stuff like that to make some simple graphics. But when it comes to this point of making all these things that you're doing, it really takes years of studying in a way, right? Like if I don't go to school, would you say it's like very hard to get to this point because you don't get to do it all day, every day?
In my opinion, I think to learn the tools and technology, it's rather easy, it's rather fast. That is something that you can learn really quick. And I think what is really important is that it's more of what is behind the thing that you want to present, how you think and how you transform your think to something that you want, to say. For me, a lot of times people think that if you work on visuals, then people will think that you work on something that is it's like a surface. But for me, I'm more interested in what's behind the surface. And what you see at the end will be more like a window that you can see through the thoughts behind. To answer your question, I wouldn't say that if you don't have education in design or art, absolutely it is okay that you can learn by yourself. And also recently, at this moment, there are a lot of good resources that you can learn things from the internet.
Yeah.
And it's just that I got a lot of inspiration from scrolling like Instagram. I have a lot of artists that I like. I use Instagram as a tool, as a platform to collect ideas and inspirations. And so I feel like it's what we have right now. We have rich resources. So it depends on how you use it, and you don't have to start it in school in order to learn those.
But how is it to have that process coming from nothing if you never were taught about it? Like, can you tell us some tips of how to formulate the thing you want? If you're saying you start from having the thought and the ideas behind what you want to express, and then you use the tools or the, I don't know, like different media to generate the things you want to show, like from beginning to your result.
Yeah.
What is it like?
Yeah, I mean, even though I've been saying like to learn the tool is very easy, but I mean, it's very important as well, because it's like, I can say that to use computer is easy, but then you need to know how to use the computer. So, but that is something that you need to spend time and make effort of learning. And it is also important to join certain like community, whether if it's online or physical, or in a physical space. And that is also very important. And to get inspired and to see different events and participate and to get yourself into certain kind of community, that is also important. And I would say that learning I learned a lot from my friends and from what I've seen, or from going outside to party or go just chatting like this. I got inspired as well. But I want to say that to learn the tools is very important. And coding is not scary. And you just need to get started and be patient.
Nowadays, it's a very hard generation to also focus, where there are so many things out there. And even just like, let's say I don't know how to code, but before I get to the point of coding, how do I put my concept together? Like, how do you conceptualize your project? Do you like write a story behind it, or like how does it work with you?
I'm not very good at writing, so writing a story is not a thing for me. But I'm very much an image person. I collect images, but I write, instead of writing a story, but I write short notes. Sometimes I just write a note on my mobile phone and say, okay, today I dreamed about this. And the other day I work in the street and passing by a person eating ice cream. I was like, oh yeah, this actually can create certain kind of connection with that. So I would just keep yourself being very
curious, yeah.
I would say, and also be sensitive about what you see, what you feel. So I use image, words. Sometimes I record sound as like a starting point to generate ideas.
Can you maybe explain or take us through some of the projects you're doing so I can imagine how it works?
Maybe I can start with things I have done before. So I'm a designer also. I work as a designer and also doing a lot of digital art as well. For example, those I made few years ago about. Maybe I could talk about this series. Basically, this series is about stay home. It's basically I was just really, really bored, and I moved to Norway in 2019, and after 6 months and the COVID outbreak, and also everyone has been locked down at home, and I was like, oh my God, it's so boring. I don't know what to do. And
so you
then I was like, because I sometimes have homesick issue, instead of just getting depressed or feeling sad, I like to keep myself busy, and I like to transform all my thinking into doing something, even though I don't know what I was doing.
Just to eat a banana right here.
Yeah, for example, the eating banana, it's like, have you... So stay home eating a banana, because there is how should I say? I think everyone will take it differently, but because there is a kind of rumor during the pandemic period time is that because before people find the vaccine, no one knows how to cure yourself from COVID. So there are a lot of rumors on the internet talking about, oh, you can eat healthy food, eat a banana will cure your COVID, and or they say, oh, drink vitamin C, or drink honey lemon tea, or drinking water, drinking a lot of water or drinking a lot of alcohol will help you from. COVID.
A lot of alcohol that suits well of Norwegian lifestyle.
So my inspiration, it's come from things that is happening around me, what I see, what I've experienced, what I read as well, and I take that as I think it's quite humor, because it is, no one knows if it's gonna help, if it's gonna work. But I mean, have you heard about the placebo effect? So they say that if you believe it, it will actually work. So this whole stay home series is like a joke, it's a humor that collected different thoughts behind what do you mean by stay home. For example, it also shows a lot about how bored I was, because imagine that I'm eating banana with a chopstick and dipping it with soya sauce.
Wow, that's a new way of eating a banana.
I haven't tried myself. Yeah. I've just been thinking about it. Maybe you should try banana with soya sauce. Why not?
Yeah. What else out there did you make for during this time?
Yeah, here, this is a series that basically it's made. Oh, I haven't actually uploaded everything, but this is it's a series that I have 4 different poster, a moving poster. So this one, it's called Stay Home and Enjoy Blue Sky. So it's quite irony, because before you can go out, enjoy blue sky, but now when you stay home, basically what you see of blue sky is only from your someone else's eyesight or your own eyesight. So that's why I transformed the window into your eyes, that moving. So what you see on your word is what you see in your eyes. And I also have another 4 collection that is about stay home, enjoy the rain. Because I know where people tell me that if you feel sad during the rainy day, just to think that how cozy is it to stay inside with a cup of warm tea. So it's hegelig instead of thinking, oh, it's so sad, it's raining again. So it's a lot of time depends on how you think and how you see things.
Yeah. You have a roof above your head. What else do you need, right? In a way. So.
Yeah, I feel like this project is more like a therapy for myself, to teach myself to see things from another perspective instead of complaining, but appreciating. That a lot of times I would tell myself when I feel really down, I say instead of thinking about what you don't have, but you can start to think what you have. So when you start to counting them, you actually become much happier. And I would definitely recommend to try that.
Yeah, I've only started doing that maybe a couple of years ago, and now I can count all the things I have, and I'm just like, wow, what more do I need apart from traveling? So yeah, apart from that, I have everything. And so these are more like, would you say they're 2D? Yeah, so 2D design.
Those projects, I was just trying to learn how to use After Effects. After Effects is a program that you generate moving motion graphics, moving content. So I was just thinking, oh, I can probably use this project to learn a new tool. That's how I learn new tools. And now I use the After Effects a lot of times to generate visuals or to combine with other things to create content. And so after a lot of because those what you see, they are not interactive. They create certain kind of interactive relation by what you see and how you, and then create a laugh or create, so it's very soft, it's indirect, interactive experience. And after that, I also I performed a lot of times here in Bergen, doing live visuals in club and festivals. I can show. Have you ever been to Hot Festival? Yeah. So if you so this is a collection that I collected when this was from 2021. I can show you the visual first, and then I explain how it works, how the visual responds to the sound. So it's audio response, content. Da, da, da.
Which program do you use to make these kind of things? Just curious.
For example, I use Resolute. I would say Resolute is a really easy tool to learn how to generate audio responsive visual. So when I first moved to Norway, I've seen that. Correct me if I said it wrong. A lot of time when I went to events or festival, a lot of times the visual that they have, they call it as a VJ or like a VJ visual something. It's like a lot of time it's like they found a video on YouTube and just play, and it doesn't matter what is it, and then they think, okay, this is super cool. But then imagine me being a VJ and I host an event and I play radio music and invite everyone here. How do you feel about that? So I was actually wondering, I want to actually do something different, and I like to prepare sets based on the sound. So those are more like things are inspired by sound, and they are creating certain kind of connection between sound and visual.
So most of the time when you work on a set, you have to first listen to the artists, their music, and then you create this.
I often prefer to ask for who is the artist, who is the DJ, what kind of music they play, and and that's actually a good question, because when I was invited to Architects Festival, that is a visual festival in Scandinavian area and based in Helsinki. So the way how they work is that they will select the VJ and then they ask me what kind of music that I like, what kind of music that I want to cooperate with. So I send them a list of sound that I like or type of the music that I like, and then they select DJ to match with the sound.
So someone curate.
Yeah, but here in Norway, it's often that they found me and they say, yeah, we like your work, and then they book you for a gig, and then a lot of time I will ask them, do you have a playlist or who is artist? So I prefer to get to know the artist before I prepare something, unless I just go there and play whatever, you know. But this is not the way I like to do. Yeah.
I saw your exhibition one time with the water. You can touch with your finger, and then the motion will change. And I like to maybe see ourselves doing something like that in the future as Drastic Social workshops. Like if we could play with the water and the music at the same time to generate, I don't know, like you have a VJ, you have the DJ, and then you have someone like just standing around playing with the water at the same time. Is that something possible?
Yeah, in talking about this project, I thought maybe it's good to give a bit of introduction about this project. So this project has actually three projects inside, I guess 3 small projects inside. And this project is called the Strange Phenomenon Weird Sensation, and it is a multi-sensory soothing lab. So this project is basically starting from myself, my own behavior of addicting to social media usage, and especially I found it super satisfying watching those food eating content and those ASMR video, and so taking this phenomenon that I found on internet and I transform into like a rethink about how can visual communication design or media art get inspired from ASMR phenomenon. So I generated 3 different projects by using ASMR as a starting point. So I have a manifested scenario. It is called Welcome to the Year of Something Something, Experiencing Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. Media has become a new normal and part of our daily lives. You might hear people telling you that a piece of chocolate will make you feel better when you are sad, but today there is an alternative solution. It's called the ASMR treatment. So welcome to the strange phenomenon weird sensation and a multi-sensory soothing lab. So welcome to, also here at this lab, you will experience 3 installation pieces that trigger your senses and touch your feelings. So this is the first one, but I can guide you directly to the one that you just mentioned about. So with this project, what I did is that I use programming to connect visual and texture into installation. So what does it mean? So basically is that when you touch, what you touch, for example, if you touch a water, you will see how it actually will react on the screen on your, so basically it's a visual, that's visual content connect to your touch and texture experience. The reason I choose those three objects, one is water, and one is fur, and another one is this present bubble. That was because those three elements are ranked as the most popular texture on the internet that people has been using, and they say, "Oh my God, it's so comfy! It's so satisfying and goosebump and comforting to hear the water sound." Or watch videos, see people pet the animals, and or simply just pressing the, like the packaging bubble wrap. So I linked those three installation into three different visual. Maybe I can show you a demo video so you can see how it works.
Because I like to put this into like a DJ set in the future, so that the people who go there can actually play with the water and generate some visual for the environment, if that's possible. Like, I don't know, just want to collaborate with different people, and like this could be one of the things you can do.
So basically, when you touch the water, you will trigger how the water has been projected on the screen. And when you press the bubble wrap will also affect the bubble shape on the screen as well. Same when you pat the fur, there will be a human falling up and down from the screen. So I was just giving an irony about someone is diving into the the ASMR society. So
Very interesting things. But I guess it will take really like a few years of studying and learning and practicing to get to this point, right? What's your plan for the near future?
I have a solo exhibition that's coming this springtime next year, 2023. That is in Oslo. So if anyone that is planning to go into Oslo or going to be in Oslo during the New Year period, you should check it out. And basically, this project it's called Lights Wonton. So I collaborate with a local style brand. It's called Wizard. I don't know if you have heard of it. So this project is a multisensory exhibition experience, and I also call it as a cross-cultural meeting hub. So the topic that we covered in this project, including fashion, music, culture, also pop-up store, and also like experimental pop-up store, experimental exhibition. So yeah, a lot of fashion, wearable items that we made. And this project is also related to my own identity that when it's come to my own identity, I certainly just like, oh my God, there's a lot of things that can talk about. And so besides the fashion wear, we also have, we've also made some cultural artifacts that including different public, like printed matter. So this one is a collection of question card that I collected 14 different questions that I Well, actually, those questions are the questions that I received while I was living outside of China. And I remember when I was in Netherlands, there were people ask me where I'm from. I said, yeah, I'm from China. And then they said, oh, do you eat dog meat? I was like, I actually struggled a lot. I wasn't sure what I should say or how should I respond. In the beginning, I felt every time when I got this question, I felt very offended. But then I was like, why should I feel offended if I just take this as a normal question? And I could also ask back, do you eat dog meat? And have you ever tried?
I just recently learned that Switzerland also eat dog meat. Like Switzerland, they eat dog meat as a tradition, and it still exists. So, yeah, can you imagine?
So, like, do you eat dog meat is one of the question, and there's also question, for example, like, does tofu have taste, or do you eat chicken feet? And so, my plan is not to answer each question yes and no, but behind, for example, do you eat chicken feet, I will lead up the question and topic about the future food resources. Like, since we're talking so much, a lot of times about sustainability and food waste and etc. So why not, like, can we just give up our cultural privileges and then rethink how can we use our resources in a way that is more sustainable? That why not eating chicken feet? Same, like I remember when in 2015 I was participating in the What Design Can Do, and they invited some food taste designer, and so they actually made a dessert that's topped with ants. Ants, yes. And I was like, oh my God, ants! I don't even eat ants in China, you know. They eat ants, and I was actually wondering, like, okay, should I try it? I will try it, and then behind this experiment, they are questioning about where is our future food resource, and can ants or bugs become the future the resources about the poultry. So after I read into it, I was like, yeah, why not? Why not bugs? Why not ants? If they can save us in the future, right? Yeah. So, yeah, this is a project. There are a lot of beautiful prints and a lot of digital experience, and it's a huge space, around 200 square meter in the city center of Oslo. It haven't announced yet, so that's why I only show like 4 pictures. Right. But there will be more information will be announced by Guafel, is the organization that hosts these events.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you today for sharing your story, your creative process. I hope that maybe you can hold some workshop for us in the future. And then maybe I can make this DJ set with water happen. Yeah. If anyone has any question, welcome to...
We should make a swimming pool.
Oh.
Imagine that.
Wow. Oh, that would be so cool. Like people going in and generate the visual for the music set. Yeah, all the music itself. Yeah. Thank you so much, Juan, today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to have a break, and then there will be music performance by Merenpelko. Before the performance starts, I like to maybe move the chairs further down so we can stand up and dance, stretch, do some exercise together. It's a little bit cold here, so thank you.
Hello, friends. Hello, mom and dad in the stream, because I know that they're watching in Finland. Let's take a deep breath. Make yourself comfortable. You can move around, you can dance if you feel like it, or you can take a nap. Utopia. 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 Harmonia toistaiseksi toteutumaton ihanteellinen olotila. Utopia. Harmonia. Have you ever landed on a place that's inhabited by fairies? Creatures of light, dancing, floating with the wind. Some might say that fairies are invisible, maybe that they don't exist at all. Some people are too bitter to see that there's fairies everywhere. Utopia, harmonia, toistaiseksi toteutumaton, ihanteellinen olotila. Utopia, harmonia. It's like floating with the warm water, sensing the light that's inside of you, sensing the light of those who surround you, and sharing your light, sharing your light, sharing your light. Please share your light with us tonight. Sharing that light, please share your light with us tonight. Welcome, friends. Hukkaan kaiken, jopa ajan. Nousin viimein takaisin pinnalle, lähestyy jo rantaa. Suolavesi kirvelee silmissä. Kiviolta liukunut veteen tuntuu nyt mahdottomalta kiivetä. Poliin pyrstölläni vettä. Yritin saada otetta, hilata itteeni kuiville. Tähän takas pinnalle. Tähän takas pinnalle. Pinnalle. Rannalle päästyäni kuivasi silmäni. Kaikki rannan kivet olivat vieläkin paikallaan. Päällä oli pehmeä, mutta ilma tuntui nyt kylmältä määrällä ihollaan. Keskityn tuntemaan tuulen kylmyyden sijasta. Tähän takas pinnalle, tähän takas pinnalle. Kävely pelottaa. Pelkään astumani oitis johonkin terävään. Samalla muistan kuinka pehmeältä ruoho tuntui jalkojen alla. You know humans, these creatures limiting themselves, animals full of shame, using all their energies for being afraid without any kind of physical threat. Välimatka itteeni saa mut putoaa. Suru on huone ilman seiniä, välitila. Tila, jota en hahmota, tila, johon mulle ei ole minkäänlaista kontrollia. Tila, joka saa mut hukkaa omat ääriviivat ja kaiken mutta muotoaan. Minä pelkään itke, pelkään myöntää itselleni, että välitän, pelkään olla auki. Silti pysyn aina auki. Telling that I come here to dance when I feel sad. It kinda helps. The moon looks down to me and asks, little creature, why are you so sad today? I'm replying that I'm sad because
like no other before you, little creature. Little creature, I don't want you to cry tonight, little creature tonight. sunshine, and everything will be alright. Little creature tonight, little creature tonight.
Kerroit mulle, et oon huumorin tajuton, etten osaa lukea huonetta. Kuinka tää oli taas kerran mun vika, pyydä anteeksi tyttö. Anteeksi kun on olemassa, anteeksi jos se on susta epämukavaa. Anteeksi jos herätän sussa seksuaalisia tunteita, vika oli tietenkin aina minussa. Oon liian kärkäs, räyhäkäs, äänekäs, myös aivan liian pitkä. Puhun aivan liikaa, ollakseni kiinnostava, et viehäty must. Ei oo tarpeeksi mystikkaa, mutta ootko koskaan pysähtynyt kuuntelemaan, mitä mulla oikein sanottavana? Sanot, et voinut mua rakastaa, ei kuka voisi koskaan mua rakastaa. Kun en oo kunnollinen, käyttänyt kunnon tytön tavoin, ymmärtänyt naisen paikkaa. Naisen kuuluu näkyy, mut ei kuulu, naisen kuuluu näkyy sekä kuuluu. Sanot, et voinut mua rakastaa, ei kuka voisi koskaan mua rakastaa. Kun en oo kunnollinen, käyttänyt kunnon tytön tavoin, ymmärtänyt naisen paikkaa. En koskaan osannut auktoriteetteja ja kunnioittaa. Mun kunnioitus pitää ansaita pelkkää ikää ja genitaalit ei enää riitä. Kaikkien kuuluu ja näkyy kuuluu niin vitusti kuin Fairies are sometimes a bit shy, so they speak their secret language. It's actually real language in this forest country. Don't go there, it's a dark place. Sä tahot keiju pölyä, mut mä menen jo kohti exittiä. Sä tahot keiju pölyä, mut mä menen jo kohti exittiä. Eikö mut siis opettanut muita kunnioittaa? Eikö mut siis opettanut peruskäytöstapoja? Ruutpiksi Täynnä self-lovea, huonot tavat, ei ispa mua poika. I am opening my wings and leaving this dystopia behind me. I know you're not coming with me tonight. On niin dan sun kasvis painu vittuun täältä, mut täällä enää ketään koskaan grindaa. Yeah, for sure. I'm the most magical thing you will meet. Instagram or live. So jag heter Rudpixie because I'm fairy and I have no manners. And we are called Merenpelko, fear of the ocean, because we are really scared. Really scared. Because you know humans, they're everywhere and they do these terrifying things.
Måste hitta weed. Röker hasch hela tiden. Den är bara fin.
Kahvi ei auttanut koskaan mihinkään. Säästi terapiaa varten, mutten ollut koskaan tarpeeksi kipeä. Ikävää, että sulla on paha olla. Meillä ei oo juuri nyt resursseja auttaa yhtään ketään. Auttaa yhtään ketään. Kysytään mun kollegalta. Meillä ei oo juuri nyt resursseja auttaa yhtään ketään. What about some therapy? Meillä ei oo juuri nyt resursseja auttaa yhtään ketään. Ikävää, että sulla on paha olla. Meillä ei oo juuri nyt resursseja auttaa yhtään ketään. Ikävää, että sulla on paha olla. Meillä ei oo juuri nyt resursseja auttaa yhtään ketään. Auttaa yhtään ketään. Auttaa yhtään ketään. Have you heard about this silly little thing called capitalism? It's really easy. It's fun. There's only one rule. You need to be productive at all times. Work hard and not smarter. Don't rest. Or if you rest, remember to still keep productivity going. You just need to be productive at all times. Please remind. Productive. 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 Work harder, not smarter. Productive. What even is mental health?
Have you seen my carrots?
Productive.
Excuse me.
Productive.
Yeah, but have you seen my carrots?
Productive.
Have you?
At all times. Remain productive. Productive.
Yeah, but I need to eat.
Productive.
My carrots.
At all times.
Yeah, but no, it's inflation now, but
Because having burnouts is cool. Please remain productive. 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 Even if you're doing art, you can still be productive. Make those goals so high that you can never reach them. Remember to be productive. Let's make those burnouts happen. productive,
We need to
productive, productive, productive.
Yeah.
Productive. It's a beautiful word. It's all you need to remember at all times. Even when you're sleeping, you can meditate at the same time. You can learn a new language while you sleep. I heard. And what even is mental health? You can have mental health day while being productive, if you must. But please, so stay productive. 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 Jos sulta ei oo kysytty, voit myös olla hiljaa. Jos et kuulu kyseiseen ihmisryhmään, älä puhu sen puolesta. Älä kommentoi. Sun mielipide ei oo sen arvoinen, että satutat. Eikä ihmisoikeudet ollut vieläkään mielipideasia. Opi please sun etuoikeuksista, voit olla kiitollinen niin paljon. Älä slaidaa mun DM, slaida mieluummin pois. Älä slaidaa mun DM, slaida mieluummin pois. Jäpä tulee kertoo mulle pyytämättä tietenkin mitä mieltä on mun kropasta. Kuinka tahtois hypätä mun kukkaan, kuka se kukaan, kunnon playboy. Hyvä jäpä ei esineellistä, kuinka tätä mantraa pitää vieläkin jauhaa. Mitu oli, mitu meni, sä pysyt historiassa. Älä slaidaa mun DM, slaida mieluummin pois. Älä slaidaa mun DM, slaida mieluummin pois. Refresha sun feedi, opettele lähdekritiikkiä tai slaida pois, slaida pois, slaida pois, slaida pois, slaida pois, slaida pois, slaida pois. Yeah, so I was wrote Pixie, but like this here, I'm the lab rat. And this sad little fella, ghost cry. Nobody knows is he a spirit or a solid creature? Just sad. Mun Tinder-biossa lukee, saatan olla noita. Ja nyt on täyden kuu aika manifestoida. On aika kutsu koolle noita piiri, pakkanallinen, epäpyhä syntinen, noita piiri. Sua kiehtoo, sua pelottaa. Kysyttekö kenties musta magiaa? Omistaako sieluni saatana? Naurat, pilkkaat, pidät muotona. Ja kysyt missä on mun luuta. Ei voi paholainen mua omistaa, kun en usko siihen kirjaan. Synnyit maailmaan syntin yleisöpiiri. Onko tää oikein joku pultti? Mitä valvot? Onko sulla taikavoimia? Älä please mua kiroa! Levitä mun paakan pöydälle. Sytytä kynttilä tattarille. On aika rauttaa. Tule vaan, mitä tapahtuu. Tornia kuolema muutosta ilmassa. Okay, let's stretch a bit. Let's listen something a bit energetic. Let's maybe move a bit. Maybe dance a bit. This is for you, Peppi Renkola. The last part of the evening, not last flow with the evening.